And
Cleveland Kate is crazy.
oh my God, Cleveland Kate, I can't even open up the show with you because you're just a
It's
handful.
Victory Monday.
I know, and I'm so glad I got you on the Victory Monday because
Where's my music?
On days that are not Victory, what is your? Oh, I got to work on that with DJ Chris.
Work on my girls. My girls aren't all perky today for Victory Monday.
When we lose.
It's a family show.
That's cold.
Eric Nolan is looking at you like you so crazy right now.
Who is?
Eric Nolan here.
Oh, hi, Eric Nolan. How are you, baby?
Did you hear Cleveland Kate?
Yeah, I hear it. Hey, cutie pie.
How are you doing today, Kate?
I'm fabulous.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. The Buckeyes won. The Browns won. The Indians are done.
Well, they're not done yet. They're just done in Cleveland.
They're done at home.
Yeah, they're done at home. They still have some more games left.
Yeah, but if any of y'all missed this weekend, you will no longer see the Cleveland Indians playing here in town. It will be the Cleveland Guardians next year. So that's okay.
Yeah, Cleveland Guardians. Okay. The end of an era, the end of 106 years. But, at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do. And, yeah, it's absolutely right. And it had to change, and it changed. And there's a lot of people who are not happy about that, but stay mad.
They'll get over it.
Yeah,
they want to watch baseball. They will get over it. I'm still sort of I'm in my whole Victory Monday glow. So I won't be saying anything bad about the Browns until tomorrow, maybe. So I'm taking my 24 hours of happiness. Actually, I'm taking 48 because, that's how I do math. Did you see the Josh Gordon news?
I did see the Josh Gordon news, and you knew that was something that we were going to talk about.
I figured somebody assigned him. There's a lot of 0-3, 1-2 teams out there that need some receivers. But the team that took the moral high ground and cut Kareem Hunt loose signed him? Child, please.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't complain because we are the beneficiary of their letting Kareem Hunt go, and he has never been happier. But it was just not on my radar for the Kansas City Chiefs to be in the Josh Gordon market. So we'll see.
Which is saying a lot about the Kansas City Chiefs because, they only really have one number one receiver, which is Tyreek Hill. So, they're willing to take a flyer on Josh Gordon. I'm completely stunned when that news came out. So I think.
And I thought he was going to Denver.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams in need of receiver, but I just didn't.
Oh, I just meant Denver because weed is legal there.
Oh, I forgot about that. Isn't it legal in some other states by now, except for Ohio?
Oregon.
Yeah,
it's legal with the medical card, but the NFL doesn't care. You can't even have a medical card. But I'm pretty sure there's only a couple states that allow it just recreationally. But I don't know.
California.
I apologize. I did not come prepared for the show to discuss the states where it's legal to recreationally use marijuana. I will prepare better next time.
That's okay, but just in case some listeners might want to know, they going on some traveling and stuff like that. I do think eventually.
Well, what's the phone number? If they know, they can call in and tell us.
The phone number is going to be 216-271-0959. I don't need to know that information, though.
I'm just inquiring minds want to know. The more you know. How was your weekend, Rachel? Was your weekend as good as mine?
It was good. It was busy. The Indians were playing and the Browns were playing. So, just a typical sports weekend for us sports girls, doing what we love. So, it was weird, at the game this weekend, just knowing that, hey, next year this team will be labeled something else. But that is something that, we'll talk about a little bit later in the show when we get to our baseball portion. But, hey, let's go ahead and get into this win. How are you feeling? The Cleveland Browns sit 2-1. They could be sitting at 3-0. Kansas City could be sitting at 0-3. How do you feel about your Cleveland Browns, Kate, right now? Just a gut check right now. How do you feel about your team?
I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to get onto a roll. It's not like the Bears were a really good team. We didn't beat Kansas City, although apparently they're not a really good team right now either.
We could have.
People will downplay the win because the Bears are not great right now. They've got a mess going on. They've got a controversy going on with Matt Nagy at head coach, and a whole lot of people want him fired. They had Justin Fields out for his very first start. whatever you want to say about the Browns and how their wins and losses have been the last 5, 10, 20 years, this is not an easy place to play for a visitor to come in here into Cleveland and into the dog pound. And it is not an easy place to play. I don't care who you are. And for that to be his first game and for them to play as poorly as they did, I mean, there's a lot of things that can be said for that. What I find, what makes me feel good about this win is, number one, you're supposed to beat the teams that on paper, if you're better than they are, you're supposed to beat them, right? You're supposed to win the games that you're supposed to win. And this was one of those games that we all said we would win in the preseason, and we did. So that's good. I also liked what I saw from the defense, not the crazy stats and Myles Garrett setting a new franchise record with 4.5 sacks and all of that stuff. Just it looks like Joe Woods has changed their scheme from man. We did a lot of man, a little bit of zone last year. I saw a lot of cover 2, cover 3 yesterday, and it looks like he's been trying to run that the last couple weeks. And yesterday I felt it click for some of the guys, especially in the secondary. And I felt like the defense as a whole seemed to better understand what kind of a defense we were running. We really didn't mess with the offense. It's the same offense we've always had. Having OBJ back was sweet because it just gave you another option. Even he didn't need to make 100 plays. He just needed to make a couple, make those defenders pay attention to him. And as you saw, the running game just took off in the fourth quarter. And that's something that I've been preaching for years. I know you are on the same page with me. If you run the ball consistently for 60 minutes of football, eventually that defense is going to get tired. You're going to bust through. And you saw that with a little bit with Chubb and even more so with Kareem Hunt in the fourth quarter, is him breaking those runs. And when he broke that one earlier and they got tackled at like the 2, I was like, oh, dude wanted the end zone so bad. So I was so glad later they got him the ball and he got himself into the end zone, got his touchdown. So, I mean, there were a lot of good things to be taken from yesterday, just from the Cleveland side. I'm trying not to be too excited and too happy about the fact that the Bengals beat Pittsburgh, because I feel like it's kind of mean. But at the same time, I'm stuck in this weird place where it's like I want to mock them for losing to the Bengals, but I also need to be careful because I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals have figured a few things out, and maybe they're not going to be as bad this year as we all just assumed they were going to be. Shame on us. So we better have ourselves together when we get to play them. But it was still nice to watch, and it was aggravating to watch the Ravens win a game on a record-setting field goal that should have never happened because there was clearly delay of game. Like, it wasn't even a judgment call of play clock goes to 0 and then the ball snapped. Like, I'm watching it on TV, play calls at 0. I'm like 1001, 1002, almost 3 seconds before they snapped that ball. It should have been a penalty, should have run the last 7 seconds off the clock, should have been game over, and Detroit should have gotten themselves a win. So I feel bad for the Lions. I feel bad for our division just because stupid Ravens are 2-1 now or whatever they are, whatever. But mostly I'm excited that the Browns didn't shoot themselves in the foot yesterday. They got off to a little bit of a rocky start. I want to know what you think. I liked going for it on 4th down, even though we didn't get those first couple. And I will say by halftime, I was a little concerned that we didn't put up some points and didn't take the field goals. I mean, that was 6 points we should have had on the board, and Stefanski decided to go for it. But looking back on it, I'm kind of glad he did. I'm kind of glad he at least tried and had faith in that team to go for it on 4th down. Do you have any thoughts about those 2 attempts on 4th down in the first quarter?
It's tough because we have pretty much been successful on our 4th down attempts, and that's what the analytics tell us, that we're super successful on those, almost hitting like 80 to 90%. So going for it is what we do. Us not making it, that's the chance you take. That's the chance that Kevin Stefanski took. Like, this is what the numbers say. And remember, the analytics thing is a big thing. So this is what the numbers say. If we go for it, we convert, which they had. So this was kind of new and weird for us that we didn't convert. So I like him.
And not only did we not convert, Baker got sacked on both of them. So you didn't just turn the ball over where you were. You also gave him another 10, 15 yards. And that was the one part that concerned me, because I'm like, number one, you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Why aren't you running the ball? On 4th and 1, 4th and 2, if we are not at a point yet where the offensive line can get me 1 or 2 yards behind one of those running backs, that's a little concerning. Now, did you think the defense was going to assume run and stack the box, and so you thought Baker could get a real easy pass off? Maybe the first time. I don't know that I would have thought it the second time, but the fact that the offensive line couldn't protect him and keep him from getting sacked on both of those was the part that disturbed me a little bit. Not the call itself to go for it, more the execution by the offensive line.
Well, the offensive line struggled all day. There were numerous holding penalties. I forgot to check the final stats on the penalties that we had, but I can count at least 4 of the offensive line, which put us in terrible field position. They were getting beat off their blocks. Everybody, almost every person on that offensive line had a penalty yesterday. It was undisciplined football. So hopefully that's something that they'll take a look at and they'll make some adjustments, because I haven't really seen that before. And this is one of the best. This is one of the best offensive lines in the NFL from last year. So I guess I'm going to chalk it up and let them have that, because, I'm not taking any wins for granted. This is the NFL, and we see just how tough, teams will play. Yesterday was a different situation for Chicago, but, we didn't know coming into this game, and hats off to Chris Styles for being correct. He did tell us, we don't have anything to worry about. Justin Fields is a rookie, and he was right. Everything he pretty much said was going to happen in that game was right. So hats off to him. I got to do that publicly. I meant to text him, and then he called me to tell me he was right, which I knew he was. So appreciate you, Chris Styles. But it was just uncharacteristic kind of game from both sides of the ball. More or less, the defense, had a great day, and it looks like they were bringing a lot of things together that we talked about, that we hounded them about. They were bringing things together. Yes, it was an easier opponent. Yes, it was a rookie. Yes, Myles Garrett had the game of all games and had a franchise record. But yesterday, it's just, okay, offensive line, here's your gimme, here's your bad game. But you have to put it together if this team is going to go on what people perceive to be a Super Bowl run. Because as we're seeing in this American league, that there's some teams that are in it to win it. So
there are some very surprising 3-0 teams
on our schedule.
And they're on our schedule. And there are some very surprising 0-3 or 1-2 teams already. I mean, I know it's only week 3. I know we've got a long way to go. But there are some teams on both sides of the spectrum that I just find really surprising. So we'll need to keep an eye on them. And as we get closer to the schedule, we've got the Vikings this week, right? Traveling to Minnesota. Good Lord, did you see what they did to the Seahawks yesterday?
No, I didn't, but I heard that they beat up on the Seahawks.
Ooh, I don't know if the Seahawks were having a bad day. I feel like it was more Minnesota was having a good day. Mm-hmm. Maybe they used up all their good days this week, and then they maybe they won't take us seriously this week. I don't know. It's going to be a test. It's going to be a test this week. So, especially on the road. So we'll see how it goes. I'm still very optimistic. I think what we saw this week it felt like they got off to a slow start, weren't a lot of points scored, early, but I think that's going to be the style of football that we need to get used to. You're going to see more second half production. They're going to use the passing game. I think we're missing Landry and his veteran presence a lot, even with Odell back. They're going to use the passing game really for the run game, and they're going to use the run game to tire that defense out for the second half. And so I think we're going to see a lot of really close games at halftime, or games where we're up, within a touchdown. And then that third and fourth quarter is when the offense is really going to let loose. So I think that's the plan anyway. I mean, ultimately that's what AFC North football should be, right? Because once we get to November, December, when there's snow on the ground, that's the kind of football you want to be able to play. The kind where you can use the air, but you don't rely on it. You use the ground to control the clock, to move the ball, to get your first downs, and just dink your way down the field. So I think we're going to see even more of that in the next few weeks, getting us ready for winter.
And Kate, just like that, those 15 minutes, we got to take a break.
Lord.
Did that feel like 15 minutes to you?
It did not.
I know. So
it did not. But that happens when we talk football, girl.
Yeah, I know. We're going to be right back. We're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We're going to be right back.
This is Chief Williams of the Division of Police. Are you looking to make things better in your community for you and your family? Well, consider a career in law enforcement. The Cleveland Division of Police is looking for the next generation of guardians to protect and serve the citizens of our great city. We offer excellent pay and benefits for you and your family. Applications are being taken today at governmentjobs.com/careers/Cleveland. Apply today and make a difference.
This message is brought to you by the City of Cleveland and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
The City Club of Cleveland presents a conversation with Timothy L. Tramble Sr., the president and CEO of the St. Luke's Foundation, Friday, October 1st from noon to 1:30 p.m. at the City Club, 850 Euclid Avenue in downtown Cleveland. Mr. Tramble will share St. Luke's Foundation's commitment to community responsive grant making and how they're working to bring the voices of residents directly into philanthropic decisions, addressing racial equity, health equity, and community transformation. You can attend the event in person or watch it live online. For more information, go to cityclub.org/forums or call 216-621-0082. Friday, October 1st at noon, St. Luke's Foundation President and CEO Timothy L. Tramble Sr. will speak at the City Club of Cleveland, 850 Euclid Avenue. This message is brought to you by the City Club of Cleveland and WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. Remember, you can always give us a call at 216-271-0959. You can always listen to us live on WOVU. .org, and you can download that WOVU app so you can listen to us on the go. And at 6:30, I was about to say 12:30. At 6:30, a rising sophomore from The Ohio State University, Caleb Blake, will be calling in. He'll be talking a little sports with us and a little bit about OSU football. So Cleveland Kate, back to one of the points that you had said right before we were going to break. You were talking about the style in which you think that the Cleveland Browns were going to kind of conduct their offense. One of my concerns, and you can tell me what you think about this, is that I don't know if we're going to see anything as perfect as we did against Kansas City, because one thing that I do is I go and I watch the highlights from the games, you know, the 15-minute highlights. So I watched the 15-minute highlights Saturday night of us versus Kansas City. Now I have like this obsession with Kansas City. I hate them now. So I stopped watching when Nick Chubb fumbled the ball because that's when the game came. Do you think that we're going to see anything as perfect as that offense until the time he fumbled the ball? Because these past two starts have been very choppy. Yesterday, Baker was sailing the ball nowhere near receivers. He got sacked. He wasn't able to step up. And one time he did. There was a video game button that everybody keeps on saying, I don't play video games. But when he spun out of a potential sack, that was kind of dope. But I just looked, this offense was just janky, and it didn't look good. It didn't look fluid. And once you got your running game going, that's when everything was able to take off. And I feel that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are two different backs with two different running styles. And yesterday was a type of game that was suited best for Kareem Hunt, because I think he bailed out the offense. I don't know about Kevin Stefanski and his play calling yesterday. I think at times when we were throwing the ball, we should have been running it more for some yardage. So I feel that Kareem Hunt kind of bailed our offense out for what they weren't able to really do yesterday against the Bears, because we only had one touchdown, right? And the rest were like field goals. But we had two touchdowns. Okay. Yeah. And the rest, I felt like, you know, we got 4 field goals, which was amazing. And hats off to our kicker, something that we ain't seen in a long time since Phil Dawson. But I feel like Kareem Hunt bailed out the offense yesterday.
Well, I have Mr. McLaughlin on 2 of my 3 fantasy football teams. So thank you.
Really?
Yeah, and in one of my leagues, you play a defense special teams unit, and then you also can pick a defensive player. And the lady I was playing against had Myles Garrett and 33.5 points, and I still beat her because my quarterback's better than hers. But Myles had a very nice fantasy performance yesterday for those of y'all who play fantasy football and get a defensive starter. So I think what you're seeing is a little bit of growing pains with the offense, trying to figure out where everybody's going to work. That Kansas City game worked really well, largely because of the matchup. For as bad as the Bears offense was yesterday, their defense is good, and it is very different from the Kansas City defense. So we're going to have to I'm going to have to take a look at the schedule, and I'm going to highlight some games coming up where we have a much more favorable matchup on the defensive side of the ball. And that was, again, that's what you saw with Kansas City. The way we were playing offense matched up perfectly with the holes in their defense. We took advantage of that. It was harder to do yesterday. I think you're right. I think they should have started running Kareem Hunt earlier because Kareem and Chubb are two very different kinds of running backs. Although what for me, what they have in common is they're both very good. If you can get them the ball, like on a bubble screen, get them the ball in the backfield and just give them a little bit of, 3-4 yards to get ahead of steam going, they're going to barrel through some people and get their yards. They're both capable of doing that. But if you're going to hand off the ball to them behind the line, they're very different runners. And there's different points in the game where that kind of a running style works and where it doesn't. Nick Chubb's running style didn't work as well, obviously, again, as Kareem's did against the Bears defense. And that's what we need to see a little better job of with, I think, Kevin Stefanski and his play calling is more, you don't necessarily get to play the game you want to play on offense. You need to really study the defense that you're going up against, take advantage of that, and figure out where you can shine. There's a young man joining us now. Oh, we got a Chicago Bulls flag in the background. Dude, probably a Jordan fan.
I didn't comment on that the last time.
All right, well, Jordan won nothing without Scottie Pippen. That's all I have to say about that. I'm old school. Batman ain't nothing without Robin.
Scotty would say the same thing too. I think he did say that in that documentary. But go ahead. You were saying, yeah. And I think that Kevin it took him a slower job to recognize what the defense was giving him. I'm still not entirely. I've told you this before about the play calling, head coach doing play calling. I'm not a fan of it. I feel like there's so many.
I know, but he did a decent job last year when Kevin missed that game, wasn't it? He missed the playoff game with the Rona.
Yeah.
Last year, and dude did a fine job calling plays. I would let him call plays. I don't know. I'm not sure why Kevin's married to calling plays. I just feel like it's a lot, especially for a first-year head coach. You and I have had that conversation before. You got other things you got to worry about. So
yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. He's got a couple favorable matchups coming up in the next few weeks. So,
well, the good thing is Minnesota is a team he's very familiar with. So I wonder how much that they're going to be changing. So
they haven't changed very much on the defensive side of the ball. Their offense is very different from when he was there 2 years ago. Not last year, the year before, whatever that year was. I can't do football math right now. But their defense is largely the same defense they were running when he was there. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with that.
Let's talk about Odell Beckham Jr. being back. I'm super excited to have him back. They threw to him out of the gate at the start of the game, trying to let him know and get incorporated. I do not feel as if these passes were forced to him, but I felt like it was a good opportunity to get him going, getting him in the rhythm, and seeing what he can do, seeing how his leg could hold up, and allowing him to build confidence in himself as well, build confidence in his body, because only thing that you're going to be able to do that with is just trial by fire. And I think them going to him actually having those catches. The only time he didn't have the catches is when Baker struggled to get the ball to him and get it close to him. But that one where he caught it pretty much on the sideline with the toe taps, that was amazing. So tell me about having I want both of you to tell me about having Odell Beckham back in the offense, what that meant, and how did he look?
Well, for me, because you haven't unmuted Caleb yet. So for me,
Caleb, can you unmute
know, you
yourself?
got two things going on. You've got everything you said about Odell needing to get comfortable back in the routine of a live actual game against real opponents. But I think the bigger picture was the Bears defense and forcing them to respect the fact that Odell was back in the game, to show them that he could catch a ball, that he could run a route, that he was dangerous, and to back at least one, if not two of those boys up off the line to maybe open up the running game. I think that catch that Donovan Peoples-Jones had later was a result of that. Some of the spreading that defense had to do was because as the game started, nobody knew what to expect for Odell. And once he had that catch with the toe touch, the defense was like, damn, now we got to worry about Odell. And they had to go put somebody on him, which frees up somebody else. So I think you got two benefits to the limited action that he saw this week.
Caleb, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was muted or not.
Hi, Caleb.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I agree with all of that. It was great to see Odell get back on the field this weekend. Especially, we kind of needed that deep ball threat, even though Jarvis isn't exactly a deep ball threat, but just having that extra, great receiver that you can count on whenever you need a big play. I do think that was one thing. A lot of his catches or a couple of his catches were on third down. I thought Baker was really good in third down, even though he wasn't accurate all day yesterday. But, we made enough plays to obviously get it done. Like you guys, I heard a little bit earlier, the Bears obviously aren't, they're not the Chiefs. They're not one of the better teams in the league right now. They have a lot to figure out. But, it was a solid win in a game that we're supposed to win. So, some good momentum going into the Vikings. So definitely happy about the performance.
Yeah, I think for me, Schwartz, another couple games can be a real deep ball threat. Kid's got some speed. My only concern with him is I don't know that he's aware of where he is at on the field the way Odell is. The way Odell gets those tiptoes down, he knows to the blade of grass where the green turns to white, and he can get there. And I don't think Schwartz is there yet. So you're going to have to keep him in 5 yards in off the sideline. But I think he could be scary in another couple of weeks of getting this under his belt. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how he progresses this season.
4-2. What he wrote.
Yeah. He's wicked fast. He's wicked fast.
I didn't even realize, because I watched some of Auburn last year, and he wasn't, I think their better receiver is Seth Williams. But, you just, that kind of speed, you can't teach that. It's insane. So.
Yeah, I was about to say that's the old saying. You can't coach speed and you can't coach height. So I think Cleveland Kate that's something that's going to come along. He also needs work on his hands as well, being able to catch that ball. He had an amazing catch in Kansas City where he bobbled the ball, but being able to be smooth and fluid. And Odell was the number one receiver. So that's something that, we talked about Jarvis not being there. Odell was the number one, and he looked like it and acted like it. DPJ had some great catches as well. Two of those targets. I don't really feel like, he used Austin Hooper, but I really didn't see Harrison Bryant or David Njoku in the game yesterday, or at least what I watched. I watched the whole game, but, I remember him
going to Bryant once and not even getting the ball close to him. It wasn't that Bryant didn't get it. It was Baker sailed that one. He had
airmailed Harrison Bryant. It probably would have been a touchdown if he completed it. But I also don't think that's the worst thing in the world, just because I think the fact that we have so many options we can go to. Nick Chubb wasn't even great yesterday. And obviously Kareem Hunt stepped up, but I think that's just a testament to how much talent we have on this roster. So
I know
I'm now worried about our offense. I know, Rachel, you get upset because you think it looks janky and it doesn't have a smooth flow to. We'll figure it out. Like you said, we have too many options and too many weapons and too many possibilities. I'm just hoping the defense continues to progress, because if they're going to run cover 2, cover 3, these guys aren't used to doing that. They need to figure that out, and I'm more worried because I don't know if we can win a shootout. A 38-42 game. I don't want to play those. I want to be 38-21. I need my defense to shut people down. I don't want to do I can't do a shootout.
Well, we can if we don't turn the ball over. And looking at Kansas City was ripe for a shootout almost, but we turned the ball over. I know.
We had muffed that stupid punt.
I have to let go of it. And you know that doesn't count.
I love you, Jamie. Jamie, I love you.
you.
Everyone has a bad day, baby. It's okay. We're still
And-
good.
and
I know
he's been
I know
fine.
you're watching. I know you're
He's
stalking
been
me on
fine
social
ever
media,
since.
watching me do my radio thing. I know, Jamie. I know.
And Jamie's
I
been
still
fine
got
ever
love for
since.
you, but damn, dog,
So
that was painful.
that was a one-off. You know,
It
just
was.
like
One
the
time,
offense
you get
was a
one.
one-off. And he's been sensational afterwards. So I'm like, you know, but I see this team could get into a shootout with somebody and actually win it if you don't turn the ball over. I definitely think that they could get into a shootout if they had to, but Baker has to be on point as well. And there are some games where, you know, I think about that Cincinnati game when we came from behind and won that game. He was hitting some of the tightest windows we've ever seen. You know, so I'm like, I know Baker can do it. And I haven't been the biggest Baker fan. Slowly but surely, I've been coming around. But yesterday, I was not really impressed with him, you know, taking so many sacks. And that's on Baker, too. You know, he has to be aware and step up in the pocket and all those other things.
But you know what, Rachel? I will take a sack over an interception any day. And if he was afraid of getting rid of it because somebody was going to take it, I'll take the sack. I'll live to fight another day, punt the ball, do whatever. I didn't feel like he threw any of those stupid interceptions that he's done in the past where he just made a bad decision to throw the ball.
There was no turnovers yesterday by either team, correct?
I don't think
that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I got to go look it up. Talk amongst yourselves, children.
I don't think that there were any. So that was the one where they fumbled the ball on one of the kickoffs, but they got the ball back because it might have been Demetric Felton wasn't paying attention. I think he might have been John with another player, and it went right past him into the arms of a Chicago Bear. But I think that was the only potential turnover that we had. So speaking of
no
defense,
turnovers.
Okay. That's what
no
I thought.
turnovers. We converted 8 third downs. They converted 1.
And we hey, DJ
and I was
Chris
laughing because it ain't funny, but Justin Tucker had more yards on that 66-yard field goal than they had in total offense. Okay. I'm just throwing it out there. I take it for what it means.
And DJ Chris Styles, could y'all hear him?
No.
I could not.
Okay. Oh, turn my mic off? Okay, you about to talk now? Okay, but I did publicly admit on air that you were correct about.
Lord. Is that why he's interrupting our conversation? Because he wants a pat on the back?
Yes.
Tell him go soft flex somewhere else.
Can you hear me?
Alone. We're trying to have a show
we
here.
We can hear you now.
Oh, listen to me too. Love you, Cleveland Pate.
I love you too, DJ Chris Styles.
Back last week, I have a couple guys that was on air complaining about I don't want to see Justin Fields. That's all.
You're right. I didn't want to see Justin Fields. I
said, this is a rookie quarterback in his first NFL game against a top 5 defense. We are going to eat him alive.
Listen, I didn't want to see Justin Fields just because I didn't want him to get crushed the way he did. I got love for my Buckeyes. You know I do. I didn't want to crush him like that.
It's the NFL.
Poor little man. Go get crushed somewhere else for your first time out the gate. Don't come here. I did it. We did it. I have no regrets about doing it. I can feel sad for the young man. He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. Give the game. But that's what we want. We won the game.
He'll be fine after the Bears get rid of Matt Nagy.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's a whole thing in Chicago today, dog. That's a whole thing. I don't know what he was doing yesterday. Some of the calls he made.
Oh, their play calling is horrible. It's terrible. He didn't suit any of Justin Fields' strengths. There were a lot of short. I remember early in the game there was a 3rd and 2 call, and they ran it was a pitch run to the left, but there was no blocking scheme. I mean, there's. The Bears are dumpster fires. So.
Well, and that's where you're going to get so much criticism if you're Matt Nagy from Browns fans, because most Browns fans are also Buckeyes fans. We've watched Justin Fields play. We know what he's good at, and you didn't call any plays that I kept waiting for him to do all these things that I saw him do in college, and I'm like, dude.
You waited to see the plays that were suited to his strengths, and
I didn't see any of them.
You thought you were going to see some Buckeye-ish, and also that it's a testament to their offensive line as well. You got to protect that kid because he can't take 9 sacks. And guys, we got to take a break quickly.
And some of them, that 3rd and 2, I'm like, why is he not running the ball? At Ohio State, he'd have ran that ball, and everyone would have known he was running that ball, and he'd have still run that ball, and he'd have gotten his 2 yards, and he'd have gotten his first down, and they not once. So I don't know what Nagy's doing. Maybe he doesn't want to be there anymore, and he's hoping they fire him.
DJ Kristoff just said this is not Ohio State. This is the NFL. And guys, we got to take a break really quickly, okay? We're going to be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Hey, Rachel, can you hear me?
Voice is
Was my mic unmuted at first?
Thank you.
It was muted for the longest time.
Oh, no, I was literally talking
Thousands
about
of people in Cuyahoga County walked through the doors of the
and then I was like, oh,
here
okay.
to have their felony cases heard by judges. When a person goes in
Rachel,
front
can
of
you
a
hear
judge,
me?
anyone can see a record of
I don't
what
think she can
happened.
hear us. I was going to tell her we got comments on from George from Facebook. I don't know that I want to read them unless Rachel wants to, but
those
you
questions
should at least say hi to George. George is our #1 fan.
Say hello to George.
You press a code tight enough, you're going to get a diamond. Everybody's got a convict in them. That's my point. It's not just, you can't just single people out.
Across the country, as well as in Cleveland, popular support for criminal justice reform is at an all-time high.
Experts say that Black Lives Matter.
Protests have greeted a judge's decision to acquit a white police officer charged after killing an.
You do what you can to make your community better. That's been my philosophy since I've been on the bench.
The vast majority of our judges are excellent and unquestionably worthy of the public's respect.
The Marshall Project, a news outlet that reports on criminal justice, is investigating years of court records in Cuyahoga County. As Clevelanders, we've never had a chance to look this deeply inside the system. That's where you come in.
The Marshall Project has teamed up with us at WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station. Together, we're going to investigate the courts and the justice system. We want to hear from you. Call 216-446-5001.
That's 216-446-5001.
Join the conversation.
Together, we'll explore how the system is or isn't working.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I'm here with my girl, Cleveland Kate, and Caleb Blake, rising sophomore at The Ohio State University. You guys wanted to talk about this defense yesterday. This defense just, like you guys said, I think Cleveland Kate said, 8 Justin Fields alive. Myles Garrett, 4.5 sacks, hit a franchise record, 9 sacks total. Can you guys talk about this defense, and can you foresee this effort being duplicated? Maybe not 9 sacks, but something like this. Is this defense, this game was a one-off, or can we see and expect more defensive performances like this? We had to be better on third downs than we was.
Is it me? I don't remember hearing Jadeveon Clowney's name a whole lot yesterday.
Oh, he had some sacks.
I think he had a sack.
Did he? I just wondered if he was busy taking the load so Myles could get through. It was an odd, that whole side of the line that Myles was on. We're back to Matt Nagy's coaching. Why you didn't shore up the Garrett side of the line on the defensive side, I don't know. Slide everybody down one, something. Make all your plays go the other way. I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to hear what Caleb thinks. I'm hopeful about the defense, but I need a couple more weeks before I believe that they've figured out how to play cover 2, cover 3.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say I'm completely sold on the defense yet. Not obviously we had a great performance, but I think that also like the Bears offense is just so bad. I mean, their offensive line can't guard anybody. So, I mean, it was awesome. Myles Garrett having 4.5 sacks. He deserves, that kind of guy deserves to be like your franchise sack leader, so that was cool to see. And I thought the rookies played well. Like, JOK was awesome.
Yeah,
he had like a 93.9 grade this week on like Pro Football Focus or something. It was like one of the highest rookie defensive grades last week. And then Greg Newsome made some nice plays defensively, even though obviously it was kind of a product of Justin Fields being under pressure all day. But I think the defense, I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. Just the fact that we showed we can be that dominant. It's a good sign that we're showing this early in the season, and hopefully we can keep building this momentum so that we'll kind of hit that peak before we, get to the playoffs. Fingers crossed, knock on wood.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up JOK because I haven't talked about him at all, and he did have a very nice game yesterday. He's someone who I've been watching as a rookie. I was super excited when he fell to us in the draft. I was even more excited when he passed his physicals. I'm like, because I wanted him and Newsome both from the first pick. I'm like, get me one of these guys and I'm good. And then we got both of them, and I was so excited. And they both seem to be coming along really well. Sometimes I worry about our rookie development, but I think these two both showed yesterday that they're coming along really nicely, and I think this is going to be a really good season. I think they're gonna pick it up and get it pretty quick.
Yeah, I think so too. So pretty quickly, all teams in the AFC North are 2-1 except for Pittsburgh. Did anybody see that coming?
I don't know if I'd say I saw it coming, but I mean, it's awesome. Like seeing Big Ben, the one play yesterday where he just like falls to the ground. Like, he's got to hang it up. It's time. It's time.
Who did they lose to yesterday? I can't remember.
Cincinnati, Rachel. You just want me to say it again. I think in a lot of ways, Mike Tomlin assumed that when Ben said he was healthy and he wanted to come back, that he would be the same Ben he's always been. That doesn't mean you don't protect him. And that doesn't mean you don't have issues with your offensive line and you have issues with your offensive talent and what weapons does he have. And your defense is good, but you still got to put points on the board. You're not going to win a 0-0 tie, right? They'll figure it out because they're Pittsburgh. They always do. So I'm not doing too much happy dancing, but at the beginning of the year, I will probably be ashamed at the end of the year to say this, but I picked the Bengals to finish last. I picked Pittsburgh in third, and I thought we'd be ahead of the Ravens. So the Ravens have gotten lucky so far this year. I thought they'd be 1-2 at this point.
No, the Ravens got Justin Tucker. That's what they got.
And to be fair, I mean, the Ravens, if they could get Lamar Jackson some help, because Hollywood Brown dropped like 3 touchdowns yesterday. I mean, like, as any receiver in the NFL, any starting receiver in the NFL, you have to make that catch. Like the catch, Lamar Jackson, he always gets criticized for, he can't throw the ball. He can't throw the ball. He's a running back. But, I mean, he was just putting it on him, like perfect spot and everything. And, I mean, he put them in a position to win that game. Obviously, he converted on that 4th and 19 anyway. And it sucks because they're the Ravens and, like, But, I mean, they should have won that game anyway. It shouldn't have even been that close.
First of all, there's only one Hollywood, and that's Hollywood Higgins.
Well, first of all, I need to know the name of some neighborhoods in Baltimore because Rachel will tell you, Caleb, Hollywood Higgins had a string of bad games where I renamed him Parma Heights Higgins until he got himself together. I need to know the names of some suburbs in Baltimore because Hollywood Brown needs to be demoted to, like, I don't know, Willoughby Brown or I don't know, Willoughby Brown or
Laurel, Severn,
Brunswick, Northridge, Tucky Brown. I don't know what we need. We need to find some suburbs, some janky hillbilly suburbs in Baltimore and rename him until he earns his Hollywood back. Because you're right. People do not give Lamar Jackson credit for being able to throw a ball. And I will tell you, I watched him play in college. He has done a lot of work on his accuracy, on getting rid of the ball quick, on trying to become a better passer. He's worked really hard in the last couple off seasons, and he's not getting help from his receivers, showing off how much better he's doing. He keeps trying because I think he, more than anyone else, understands that the number of years he's going to get in the NFL are going to be shortened every time he is forced to put that team on his back and run them to the end zone. So he's trying to get these boys to, like, please catch a ball. I'm putting it out there for you. Save me a little bit of hitting. And they're just not cooperating with them. So they'll get theirs this year. I think it'll come down to them and us at the end of the season. As far as playoffs, it could be both of us. We could win the division and they could get a wild card spot. looking at what's going on in some of the other AFC divisions, the AFC East is just a whole hot mess. I don't know what's going on with Miami. And now with Tua on IR, I thought the Dolphins would actually be challenging. I knew the Bills would win that division, but I thought the Dolphins might challenge for a wild card. And now I'm not so sure. So you could get a wild card from our division again. It happens a lot. So you can see us and Baltimore both in the playoffs at the end of the year. I think Pittsburgh's done, and I think the Bengals will come back down to earth. Their schedule is going to be about as hard as ours. We've got after this Minnesota game, we've got the Chargers, and then we've got Arizona. We've got a tough road coming up, but those are the same teams that everyone else in our division has to play. So we'll see.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll definitely probably be in there or I think us and Baltimore both make the wild card for sure. And then because the rest of the AFC really doesn't look great. I mean, there's no one else in the AFC that really scares me right now. I know it's still early, but I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
All right, moving on. We only got 13 minutes left. Time is flying by. So, Caleb Blake, before we go to another break really quickly, let's talk about The Ohio State University. They covered the spread, thank God.
We can talk about Tavon.
Honestly, before the game, I said that we weren't going to cover the spread. I really didn't have
I didn't think so either. I didn't think so.
I thought we'd win by maybe 35, but not, not 40 or 52.
It's Akron.
Yeah, but it's Akron. But I mean, we haven't looked great yet.
They scored first. Akron scored
Rachel,
first.
Bowling Green beat Minnesota.
I know.
Bowling Green, my alma mater, was a 31-point underdog and was the first time in the last 60 attempts that a 30-plus underdog won. Falcons forever.
Congrats.
Falcons forever. That just made me nervous. I'm like, crap, this will be the year Akron wins. It was Appalachian State over Michigan all over again. That's probably before you were born, Caleb, but it was a good time when Appalachian State took it to Michigan.
No,
it's a good time.
That was
you were little. I'm sure you were little.
Yeah.
Kayvon Pope, is that the name of the kid that just threw his gloves in the stand and just said, that's it, I don't want to play anymore, took his ball and went home?
Yeah, I don't really know what happened with that. Nobody really talked about it. They asked a couple players and Coach Day what was going on. I mean, obviously none of them gave any comment or anything like that. So he did enter his name in the transfer portal today. He sounded off on Twitter after the game to make it even worse.
He tweeted bad words and then he deleted them, but I got a screenshot if you want to see what he tweeted because Twitter is forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's so terrible decision. What are you thinking? I mean, because honestly, even though he's in the transfer portal, what kind of school would want to take someone who just tweeted, something like that about their own institution, their own school that they're on scholarship at? But whatever. I mean, I wish him the best. Hopefully it ends up working out for him. But
yeah. And what's going on with Clemson? They got 2 losses.
Dabo can't.
You get rid of Sunshine and that's it?
No, I mean they're number 25 though somehow, which doesn't really make sense because
2 losses. I didn't check. I didn't see the standings today. I figured they'd be out the top 25 for the first time in school history. Yeah, with 2 losses, 4 weeks in, that's insane.
Oh, it's been times Clemson have been sorry. Clemson ain't always been a good football team, so they've been out of the top 25 numerous times. But
not in my memory. They've at least been top 25, girl. Maybe not top 10. They've been top 10 since 2015, but they've still had a decent program. I just don't understand what's going on with them. There's a lot of stuff in the SEC that's a little sketchy this year, so we'll keep an eye on it.
Dabo is not a nice person, so I'm okay with Clemson being terrible. We got to take another break really quickly, you guys, and then we'll finish up with some Ohio State, a little bit of Indians, and then
you got to say hi to George, Rachel. George is watching us tonight.
Hey, George. Normally he types something on the screen, and I ain't seen it, so I wasn't sure. And then
he's been typing. Caleb, check your screen.
Oh, okay. Caleb, Marshawn has a question for you, so I asked him to come back on air. We'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
Can you believe that time again? Fall is on its way. Right around the corner is Sweetest Day, and we have a sweet treat for you. EDB Productions presents The Intruder, Saturday, October 9th at the Front Stage Multiplex in Cleveland Heights, 3492 Mayfield Road at Severance Town Center. The show begins at 8 p.m. with host DJ McDuck and Cleveland's own Triple Exposure. For more information, call 216-331-0024 or call 216-401-9815. You don't want to miss this epic event. The Intruders, live at the Front Stage Multiplex, 3492 Mayfield Road in Cleveland Heights, Saturday, October 9th. Brought to you by EDB Productions and WOVU 95.9 FM, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio. If you notice a loved one talking about guilt or shame, changing their eating or sleeping habits, taking extreme risks, or talking about death often, they may be thinking about suicide. Ask them, are you thinking about killing yourself? If they say yes, tell them, life is better with you here. Help them get connected to resources. Call Cuyahoga County's 24-hour suicide prevention hotline, 216-623-6888, or go online to withyouherecleve.org. That's withyouherecle.org. Everyone deserves to know that life is better with you here. This message is brought to you by the Adams Board of Cuyahoga County and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Welcome back to
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Aid Sports, and I got Cleveland Kate with me, and we got rising sophomore from The Ohio State University, Caleb Blake with us. And Caleb, I'm going to kick it back off to you. Marshawn Powers has a question. Marshawn still think that Maryland got a chance against OSU for some reason. I don't know. He said, ask Caleb. Yeah, he said, ask Caleb if OSU will have a quarterback controversy, saying that Kyle McCord balled out, even though it's just Akron.
Interesting. So, first of all, I mean, Maryland isn't even in the conversation. We're only focused on Rutgers this week. So, but I don't know. To be honest, I really don't know. Kyle McCord, he started off a little slow, but, you know, he kind of got it together. He finished 13-18. He had 319 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the pick came a little earlier. So, you know, I mean, if there will be controversy, I don't know. I think Ryan Day will probably end up just playing C.J. Stroud if he's healthy. I mean, Rutgers is an interesting game because, I mean, Rutgers isn't, I don't know, they're not great, but Big Ten games always way harder when you play in conference. And Rutgers, honestly, I wouldn't even say they're not great. They're 3-1, maybe 3-2, and they just gave Michigan a run for their money this past week. So, I think this is an interesting game to start, you know, our Big Ten play. It's definitely going to be a nice test to see where we're actually at. Honestly, I don't even know if I care who starts. I don't know if honestly, I have the same confidence in CJ Stroud and Kyle McCord. I wouldn't say that either of them is like dazzled me because as great as Kyle was, like it was Akron. Like we're supposed to win 59-7. We're supposed to win 59-0. So,
you gotta let them get one touchdown.
But we'll just see what happens. No offense to the Zips. I mean, they I know they're working there, but it's tall to ask. It's tall to ask for.
So no quarterback controversy.
They earn their money.
I would say no controversy.
All right.
No, but you know what? You're right. You got Rutgers coming up, and there are some teams in the Big Ten that are okay, that shouldn't be a problem for us to beat. But the reality is we get their A game. We get everything they have and more. They show up and show out when they play against the Buckeyes. It's almost, I mean, Rachel says it's like it's their Super Bowl. They give us everything they have those weeks. So there's nothing easy about any of those. So we just have to take it seriously. I don't mind keeping McCord another week and letting Stroud get better. I'm good with that. I mean, he did fine. Let's see what he does against someone who's a little tougher. But ultimately, it's going to be Ryan Day, Coach Day's decision, and I'm not where I'd trust him.
So
definitely either or.
Marshawn said, "Tell him UND get out the first. They get their first test Friday on FS1. Don't let them get beat. The number 5 school. He gonna hear from me. So yeah.
Who were they playing this week?
I don't even know. Number 5 school. Whoever's number 5.
I want to say that's Iowa. I want to say it's Iowa.
Because Iowa State lost, so that was a big deal. All right, Cleveland Indians, you guys. Go ahead, Caleb. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say real quick, like a lot of college football is kind of like wide open right now because a bunch of people are losing. I mean, you got to take like Clemson and things like that. I still think we honestly have a path to make the playoff just because there are a lot of Big Ten teams are ranked pretty high right now. Like you got Penn State's number 4, Iowa number 5, Michigan's number 14, Michigan State 17. So we're not done yet. We're not done yet.
Yeah, Penn State's 4, Iowa's 5.
Where are we at?
11.
11.
I mean, we dropped. I don't really.
We
know.
dropped to 12 after the loss to Oregon, so we moved up 1. I don't think we'd move up at all. I figured with it being Akron, we would just stay where we are. If we'd have beat them like 30-7, we'd have probably dropped 5 spots.
Yeah.
I mean, style points still matter in the NCAA rankings. You got to put up 50 against an Akron, or you're going to drop points. So I'm glad we moved up 1.
Oh, Georgia.
There's a lot of Big Ten schools at the top of this list this year.
Oregon 3, yeah, Iowa 5, Oklahoma 6. Who they almost lose to? Was it Nebraska? They almost.
Oklahoma, yeah. Oklahoma doesn't look great at all. I mean, they've got some quarterback controversy. They have bigger controversy than we do. Spencer Rattler has not looked great this season, and they were chanting actually in the stands, "We want." Their backup quarterback, his name's Caleb Williams. They were chanting, "We want Caleb" after he threw an interception this week.
Oh my God!
They did. They won and still dropped 2 spots. So, I mean, people are watching.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny. And Cincinnati, go Bearcats, ranked number 7 at 3-0. Luke Fickell over there. So that's pretty interesting. We're not gonna get to the Indians today. Well, the Cleveland baseball team, excuse me. We're not gonna get to them today. That's absolutely fine. We can just finish it out with Ohio State. So we have Rutgers coming up next. What are your thoughts about Rutgers? We got about 2 minutes.
I mean, hopefully the defense plays well. I want to see the defense play well against a team that's like not, I mean, obviously any Big Ten offense, as long as we can put together a good game, I would have way more confidence in us for the rest of the season because we just need to keep building that, as we go. And yeah, we had a couple picks against Akron, but we haven't played a great defensive game against any team that, will probably prepare us for later in the season if we do somehow make the playoffs. So just need to see strides on that on that side of the ball.
Yeah, we possibly could make the playoffs. I mean, you got to have teams beating up on each other, so it's coming sooner than later. And I still think that there's a possibility that we can beat. We don't have Iowa on our schedule this year, but I definitely believe that we can beat Penn State. So, and that game is going to be at Ohio State. So I look at that as kind of an automatic win for us. Michigan is number 14, and are we at Michigan this year or away?
At Michigan.
At Michigan, November 27th. And Rachel, don't you look past Penn State. They're like number 4 right now.
I know.
Penn State.
We'll see where they are when we get to them, but that ain't a gimme game. I'm glad it's here and not in Happy Valley. I'll tell you that.
We're going to beat them.
Okay. Rachel, before you end the show, I got to tell you, I was in LA last week, and they had these little LeBron James dolls at the airport in the gift shops in his Lakers uniform. It just looked weird.
All right.
I know how long it was just weird.
All right. Thank you so much, Caleb. Thank you, Kate. We got to go. This is Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. We are out of here.